So we have monogamy mainly in the West because it's a socially prescribed form of organisation.
Welcome back to MUSE on the Mic. I'm Riley.
And I'm Emily. Thanks everybody for joining us on another episode here at MUSE on the Mic. We've got a spicy little topic today. What are we doing today, Riley? Tell everyone.
I think it's such a fun conversation. I mean, we do have some media to watch, but really it's just a conversation about the construct of monogamy and does it really fit society? Why are we as a society so based around monogamous relationships, or should we be? I don't know.
Listen, there's many points on many sides, a lot of which I agree with on both sides. So this will be interesting, little back and forth chat, because we're also coming from the sex work perspective, and that is obviously very unique, right? So I think we're starting off with a bit of media, are we not?
Yes, it's from Diary of a CEO, from interview with a love expert Anna Machin. I hope I said that right.
I think it's Machin. Either way, this conversation is interesting, and I think our viewers know we're big fans of Stephen and his show already. You learn so much shit on a show. It's the coolest show. Anyways, let's catch this video, and we'll argue monogamy on the other side.
Being sexually monogamous is a really quite bad idea. It is a form of control. Monogamy itself is a social construct, mostly. We are not a monogamous species. There are, in fact, very few monogamous species in the world. I read a book the other day that says something like 0.002% of the animals on this planet are monogamous. Because what you will see in the wild and what you see mostly with humans is social monogamy. They live together. But the infidelity rate sits generally at around 50%. So 50% of those households are not sexually monogamous. And in fact, from an evolutionary point of view, being sexually monogamous is a really quite bad idea, because you are limiting yourself to a very narrow gene pool. So we have monogamy mainly in the West because it's a socially prescribed form of organisation. And it was imposed because it is a form of control. If we all just gave in constantly to precisely what our drives were saying, there'd be kind of chaos. And those in power wouldn't be able to predict what anybody is going to do, because actually I'm just going to go, I feel, sexually attracted to whoever that is over there. I'm going to go mate with them, but I'm going to come back and live here. But then I've got a kid over there, and it's all really confusing. So over time, when civilization first arose, the more complex we got, and as we started to live together in cities, those in control were like, okay, I really need to be able to predict what these lesser beings are going to do. So I'm going to impose monogamy. You can only live with one person and basically have sex with one person. Nobody actually ever only had sex with one person, but we're going to look like we do. And that's why we have legitimacy rules about children and inheritance and all that kind of thing, because it maintains control.
I love Diary of a CEO, and I really enjoyed listening to her. I think monogamy is such a personal, there's so much personal feelings about it. And again, we're coming from a different angle of being in the world of sex work. But I think personally, monogamy is very hard to maintain. I can't imagine, but listen, I'm pro-choice. If that's what works for you in your relationship, I'm all for it. But I think long term, are humans meant to be with the same person for their entire life? My track record indicates that's a no. So,
kill me.
I'm serious though. I've had, and I've analyzed myself here, guys. I've had I've been really committed to 10-year stretches, but never made it past that. And it's not from a sexual perspective of I don't want to have sex with the same person. It's just that I actually outgrow them, or they outgrow me. I think humans go through so much change that you are literally not the same person you were at 18 to 32 to 52. You evolve. And to find that perfect person that matches you on a social life level and on a sexual level is really tricky. And I think this pressure we put on ourselves that's the pinnacle of happiness, or that's the pinnacle of the white picket fence life, is to have a partner. That's not what I'm teaching my kids, is where I'm going to leave it.
Amen to all of that. I love that you've done enough analysis to know that you outgrew the shit out of some of those people as your bestie. And I know I'm biased, but still, big time. But it's true. There's no way to guess how anyone's evolution is going to go. And for those that do maintain obviously ebbs and flows and waves and all the things, but that maintain at least a close and somewhat functional, healthy relationship through decades of their own personal evolutions without splitting is quite the feat. And yet I hate even using that word because it shouldn't be, right? It should be a softer word than that, but it's actually a harder battle than that because I too have never passed 9 years.
Okay. See?
See,
It's just
that's
10
my
years.
limit. And you know what's funny is I remember when I first had my first like live together relationship. I remember other friends that lived together saying like, wait till you guys get to 4 years or wait till you get to the 7-year itch that everyone talks about and those kind of things. The 4-year one was real. The 7-year itch I never felt. The 4-year one was a tough year every time I've lived with someone. Yeah. There's something about it where like I think in general, a lot of the honeymoon phase is gone at that point. But there's something about even there's still a little newness, a little like this is fun, we're playing house kind of vibe that fully is dissipated by then. And there's a lot of like harsh reality. And suddenly you're just like, I guess this is my life now. And then you just adjust or don't from there, right? And in the beginning, depending on especially my first live-in relationship, I was young. I was very young. I was 17. So like you'd roommates at certain points and like college living type vibes. And then first big jobs. And then I'm actually doing something in my career and like just different things that add different elements that you don't really get to that settled point until about 4 years. And then the battles came. It was a little hectic then. That should have been my 19 first red flags.
Yeah.
4 years is strange, but I do remember when I first saw this video because you and I are both avid watchers of Diary of a CEO, and every episode and even every small clip I find has a nugget of a lesson in it. Like it's such a service he delivers to people with the knowledge. But as soon as we finished like watching, especially that particular clip, I think I'd written down, or maybe even like when I shared it with you, I was like, I wonder if sex work is the bridge between the like contrast of societal expectation versus like animal instinct. Because if we're being dead ass serious, over 60% of marriages are not faithful. Right. So one person is participating in non-monogamy, and whether the other person is or not is irrelevant to the point of this, like the point I'm going to make. But if one person isn't monogamous, which is a lot, because I think those studies are all around traditional cheating. Right. I don't think most people that write an article for Men's Health or Cosmo magazine are like, but what about the sex workers? What about the guys that pay for it? They're often left out of every fucking study. And so I think that percentage would go up quite a bit and would end up much higher than 60% of people are participating in something on the side. And yet many a marriage has kept together, their happiness scale is up to them, but together, because one person sees a sex worker, because the person with the higher drive has chosen to outsource their needs and that duty. And we've learned through many clients, sometimes that the wife is none the wiser. Sometimes it's a medical situation and you have the wife's permission. If she just had, ovarian cancer and a full hysterectomy and all this, she's probably not allowed to be intimate penetratively for probably a good year plus, some much, much longer, depending on like what's going on inside. There could be damages, there could be further issues, other cancers, all kinds of different things. And so at what point does a couple sit and have this conversation where, and I imagine they're all very difficult conversations, where it's, I know you as my husband have needs and I'm physically not able, even if they're like, I really miss that side with you, or I can't wait till I can again, or in the meantime. But there becomes a discussion and sex work comes up. Places like Muse end up in the conversation. They get to Googling. We end up getting those emails and those conversations. And there have even been times where a couple will come in to speak to one of our girls. and be like, this is my wife. She's allowed me to do this. These are our boundaries. She wanted to see the place, to meet you, to feel comfortable. And it's a little against the grain, right? Like at first when we see them like kind of wanted to, we're like, wait, what? You're bringing your wife and it's not a couple
Right.
session? What's happening here? Like it can be a little weird, so to say. But once it's in that moment, it's the most human, candid, communication that could possibly happen. I applaud those couples so drastically because they're taking an approach that is so proactive and outside the box of what society approves, and yet absolutely perfectly aligned with what nature dictates. The wife is aware he needs sex. He is aware he's lacking sex. She is going to have to find other ways to fulfill her intimacy needs. He's responsible for helping with that, but now they have a plan, at least for his penis, and they feel safe and comfortable at a place like Muse is the best compliment I could possibly imagine. So the balance, are we the Band-Aid? Are we the bridge in between? Are we the way society makes it work? Wink, wink, hush, hush on the side. I think so.
Well, and I think the construct of marriage and monogamy is social control, like she mentioned. And I've never thought back that far, much like schools were created to pump out employees, factory workers. Like there's, purpose behind all of these plans. And marriage has been around, God, for so long that we just think it's normal, this long-term, lifelong commitment. And I don't think, it could be from mismatched libidos, because that's going to happen over time. Absolutely. Even if you start out on par, at some point they're going to be mismatched. And like you said, maybe that's the time that sex workers are used. But I think for the longevity of our business, we're lucky about the construct of monogamy, because people will find a way. Because I think if we all really looked at it like, you know what, we should have 4 partners through a lifetime, one through your college days that you kind of grow with and all of that, then one for child rearing, which is a point they touched on. This is a big, long job, and it really is done better with a partnership and kind of 2 people sharing that role. And then maybe one's later in life after the kids have grown and you're rediscovering yourself. If it was outlined that way, I think the need for sex workers would be lessened quite a bit. It's for those that are, in this monogamous long-term relationship that need outlet.
You want to go deeper? You want to go all the way? Let's go deep throat. Good evening, and welcome back to another episode of Deep Throat with your favorite sexologist, Emily Muse. We are talking about female edging tonight. Yup, female edging. I know on the pod we have talked so much about you guys edging, about building up that orgasm, about building up that prostate fluid and milking it, or orgasming, or multiple orgasms, and just draining your balls, to be straight up. But we haven't really touched on female edging. And to be honest, between me and you, edging is my favorite. Whether it's solo or with a partner, I absolutely love to edge. It is such an amazing build-up, makes me wetter than possible, and it leads to the most incredible orgasms, sometimes over and over again. But it's because of that build-up. It almost like gives your capabilities, your orgasmic capabilities, a superpower. Who doesn't want that? So I'm actually going to start you guys off with a little video, and I'm going to answer his question. This comes from Facebook and a creator named PB Scrammer. Here we go.
Okay, here we are in my closet, and a bunch of you asked to see my chest. Yes, this is my Smex chest. I have so many toys, I had to get something big enough to put them all in, so chests. Because one of the main things is I have the, one of the reasons I have such a full chest is because of the Smut Slut box. It's a box where you get a dark romance book and a toy, a Smex toy to go with it. And they're usually the kind that goes, bzzz, But I wanted to ask, because I'm a guy, right? I love to use toys with partners because, teamwork makes the dream work. We all go into some place and toys get you there faster. So I like them, right? But again, I'm a guy. My question is, what is the point of the in-between setting? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a button, you press it and it goes bzzz, and then you press it again and it goes bzzz, and then when you press it again, it's like bzzz. It's like different intensities. But then if you press it again, all of a sudden it does like a bzzz, bzz, bzz. What is the point of that setting? I have never found a point. What, like, no person has ever been like, or even worse, when it's one that has like like, it's not even consistent timing. It almost feels random where it's like, bzz, 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 bzz. Like, why would that ever exist? Is there like a person that finishes from surprise? Like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. It's a surprise finishing. I don't understand. I have so many of them and all of them have that setting. Why? Obviously, like, okay, I need a female's perspective because I don't understand the point.
So, the answer to his question is edging. The way that the vibrations suddenly change up and mix up throws you off your course. Think about when you guys are trying not to bust a nut when you're having sex or even masturbating, right? You really want to switch it up, and changing your rhythm, changing the intensity, all of that adds to that buildup without release. And so once you've built up all those fluids and all that wetness, she is going to explode when she finally comes and potentially want to do it again and again, whether that's clitoral or G-spot or both or otherwise. The edging is the journey. And listen, the destination is fantastic, but the journey should be just as good. And so even toy designers know this. Yes, there's a low setting. Yes, there's a medium. Maybe there's even 1 through 10 in terms of intensity ranges. But almost every modern sex toy has these like sporadic patterns that you can select as one of the functions. Some of them are customizable. Some have many options for many patterns. Listen, we focused on fleshlights recently and all the fun that they can be. But there's some equal fun for us ladies too. You like that? You want more? Subscribe to the Patreon and I'll take you deep throat.
I absolutely agree. And I think that's especially with, I don't even want to say modern times. I want to say within recent history, in terms of what we would study in school, as far back as we would study in school, in basic school, like basic elementary school. On the flip coin of that, though, I'm thinking the Kama Sutra is an ancient text, and it purported a lot of, maybe not in terms of commitment monogamy, but a lot of polyamory in terms of the sex acts and the participation and all of those things. There were definitely eras in history, again, way back, where prostitutes were only for the elites, and they were celebrated as elites. They weren't the shun of society. They were honored and put on quite the pedestal and actually treated better than the king's mistresses and stuff like that. And so again, we're looking at non-monogamous, but at the same time, sex work is always ever present, oldest profession for a reason. And yet the societal constructs allowed for those things, as opposed to the more Western, Christian kind of vibe that a lot of societies have kind of built their constructs around. It's interesting because they didn't miss the child rearing phase. Maybe they had some wild teen years. I mean, people were married a lot younger back then too, right? So chunks were not part of society and chunks were big parts of society. And yet in a castle, in a kingdom, or in an empire, the mistresses lived in the same house. They had servants and shit. Like, it wasn't something done just like on the side on a business trip or like these kind of scenarios. It was so open and so not like a cheating thing. It was just how people functioned. And listen, Cleopatra had many a side dude. It did not go male exclusive by any stretch. In fact, women in her era had women that would come in and pleasure to fluff her, to prepare her for sex with the king if she really wasn't even into her husband in the first place. Catherine the Great. There are so many examples. There's a reason she set up pulleys to fuck a horse, because she didn't like her husband and she didn't want to have to do it. But she'd call in these women to fluff her first, and then she'd have evenings, hours long evenings of multiple men coming in to service her. Then the animal thing came about. Like, so much stuff was done for her own literal exclusively sexual pleasure and entertainment. It wasn't something that was so patriarchal. It was a very even Steven, the Kama Sutra, much the same. As much as there are many scenes where the man seems to be worshipped by all these women, there are many pages where the reverse happens too. So does society evolve? And I think right now we are in a very precarious, maybe not precarious, but an interesting shift where people are not getting married or waiting way, way, way longer to get married. A lot less women are choosing not to have children, or sorry, a lot more women are choosing not to have children. We've got this male loneliness epidemic, which I have controversial feelings about, the incel vibe. Like, there's all these different sectors, and we're kind of going like this instead of coming together under a more thou shalt marry kind of vibe, right? Like, it's really going on this independent thing, and groups of people are coming together because through their own independent like experiences have come to the same conclusions. And so there's a lot of reasons why women are choosing not to marry or not to reproduce or to listen. There's a lot of women that raise their kids with friends that also have kids the same age because let's share the expenses, let's get the tax benefits, let's do all the same things. But like, we're just besties and we have like wine nights on Fridays and they just go about their life because why not make it easier? Why not have 4 hands and 2 people are responsible? Carpooling is like, all the things are easier. Or they'll live and buy houses next to each other. Polyamorous people often do that too, so they can share the duties of all the children because there will end up many. Watch TLC for a few minutes and you'll be like, wow, that's a big litter. A lot of chiefs in charge here. Like, you've got to figure it out. And so having everyone on the same campus makes as much sense as having the mistress live in the castle. Like, it actually, it's such an interesting thing when you see like big shifts. And I feel like we're in the midst of one of those. The traditional, man, woman, picket fence, minivan, children, and a dog just isn't fitting what society's doing right now. Fast forward 5 years with AI and how much that's going to separate us even more. I wonder what the next thing is, because marriage wasn't a thing till it was invented, right? So what do we do as society next? And how different will that be in different countries, different political constructs, places where gay rights exist and places where they don't? Like, there's just a different result everywhere. It's super fascinating to my little curious mind. And yet I love that in all of these scenarios, I think there's absolutely place for sex work. A huge place for sex work. Women are going to get curious. They're going to start buying more. AI is going to replace some workers, and a lot of people are going to hate that. Couples are like, suddenly we can pay for these experiences. Like, there's a lot going on. And we're just like, me again. Where's Waldo? Me again. And I love it. I love it.
I think so monogamy is like, it's almost an unrealistic expectation. I mean, considering most animals are not monogamous, like that doesn't really exist in the wild. There is a few species, so don't come at me for saying that. But as humans, we are one of the few that have sex for pleasure. So we're one of the few that do this for enjoyment, but we're expected to never stray from our monogamous relationship. That seems a little odd. Like, it's just, the math isn't mathing here, guys. It's just such an old school way of thinking. And like I said, I'm not shitting on it. If that works for you, if you have parents that have been married for 52 years, amazing. I literally tip my hat to them because that is a mission. But I don't think we should base our views completely around that is what a proper life should look like. Proper to who? Like, not in our world, right?
Proper being the operative word there is such a good point, because listen, what works for Michelle and Barack Obama doesn't necessarily work for, J-Lo and Ben. It just depends how it goes. You're absolutely right. And yet nature is so funny. You're right. I hope no one comes for you. Immediately I think of Friends because of the lobster scene. Lobsters mate for life. That one I know, Ross and Rachel.
It's just not the norm.
It's not the norm. And yet, you're right. There are only a few species that have sex for pleasure, dolphins being one of them. And dolphins are my favorite argument for LGBTQ rights, because dolphins do gay gang rape. Some are
No.
dolphins, other smaller whales, and sometimes the babies. It's absolutely vicious. But they basically
Terrible.
swim and surround. So you've got like a barrel. 6 fucking dudes, all with their dicks out. She can't get out. Or sometimes if they can't find a she, they'll pick the weakest dude and they all just ass fuck him.
I don't like dolphins as much
Craziest nature
anymore.
shows too. I watch weird shit. It literally, like, you can sit and go on about how unnatural it is, and there's many species, not just dolphins, that engage in homosexual activities. Monkeys, who we stem from, are big players. They masturbate, they play with their shit all the time. They'll fuck any hole they can find. Again, the children come involved because if they can't find a suitable solution, that'll do. And they just do it. If you have a bunch of males that are like, there's already an assigned like dominant male who's in charge of the family or the herd or whatever, and the other boys aren't quite at that point where they can claim a woman as their own, they fuck each other because they're raging teenage monkeys that still need to bust a nut. So you see them sitting there jacking off till they find someone. They'll be like, just do. See when the gorillas do it because they're massive. It's terrifying. But like, we evolved from monkeys. So is it a big shocker that people are like, butt stuff? Not really, right? And you can't say gayness has never happened and everyone should be stoned to death because swim in the ocean for like a minute and where it's crazy. And dolphins have penises almost the length of their entire body. So like these poor other males are just impaled. But they do it for pleasure. Keep that in mind. They're not doing it for survival instincts. They're like, boys, want to do that again? That was fun yesterday.
There's no judgment under the sea, I guess.
Listen, we could all take a cue in certain aspects. At least that it happens, that it's natural. And so, yeah, even in the ones that find the pleasure or the ones that are monogamous, there's still varying pieces in all of the above. There are no straight lines in nature. And it frustrates me when people try to put people in that kind of a box. And it never ceases to amaze or surprise me when people are like, fuck the box.
Yep.
And they just want to live a swirly twirly life because we just should find the things you like.
I think penguins are the most like loyal and monogamous, but
They're very monogamous. They're very loyal, but they do steal each other's babies.
Really?
I love penguins. Yeah.
Like if mine dies, I'm going to take yours.
Clearly one day. Yeah. Seriously, if mine died or mine isn't or like, because the males protect the eggs and the women go off to hunt, right? And if the woman has some trouble and runs into a polar bear and maybe that didn't go well, then maybe the other guy comes back and is like, I don't have a wife anymore. That's my baby now. Like they just literally steal out of the nest. It's crazy.
Wow.
The original cuckolds. It's crazy. But there's a lot to it. And like, listen, there's adorable cuteness in the monogamy and the loyalty of penguins. Down to like when they first find that first pebble for the girl. And then they repeat that like courtship all the time, every year when it's time, right? And again, all nature based. That's natural instinct. That's not learned behavior. That's not societal adaptation because humans really have the most edge on that because we're the ones that innovate the most. And yet, again, spend some time in the jungle and you'll see a lot of animals using tools and that build a shelter and all these different things. So as soon as we think we need to be in one way, life and the entire planet will shake a little bit and shift us all off course. And I'm convinced that's where we're in society right now. The whole world is like, what's going on? Organize your life. And here we are questioning where to put our penis. And still the sex workers are like, me again.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if there's aspects of nature where there is pleasure exchanged for something. I guarantee you.
Oh,
you don't have a pebble? I got some pussy.
True.
You never know. And I'm absolutely going to research that. We're coming back with a nature sex episode
I
at some point.
That's something worth researching because I bet you you're right, but I'm really curious what species and what the exchange is. Like I wasn't successful in my hunt today. Give me that fish. She bends
Right.
so like what
Listen,
happened here?
if that keeps you warm and fed all through
Yeah,
hibernation, then that's what the fuck nature's gonna do, right? Like
right.
it is. And same with humans. We're gonna do
Mm-hmm.
what we're so, like, stop being stuck inside these little boxes that make no sense other than for the government and taxes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
live with your bestie, pay less taxes. Just find a loophole somewhere, make it make sense. And when in doubt, find a sex worker near you
Yeah.
because we'll come in with our band aid and be like, it's okay, it's going to be fine. That's just so fascinating a conversation. I love this.
Mm-hmm.
We could debate this all day, and I think it's a little like contrasty because people will assume, no, hookers don't believe in monogamy or this must be. And it's like, no, actually, we have a lot of mixed beliefs, and it's based on what
Mm-hmm.
we see from y'all mostly, which is
Mm-hmm.
super interesting.
Very interesting.
I love it. I got the giggles again. This day of recording has been a giggly one for Emily.
Okay.
My poor G. Well, thanks guys for tuning into this. I'd love to hear everyone else's response and
Mm-hmm.
kind of hear their comments and how they've navigated their own personals or what they witness in their parts of the world or their
Mm-hmm.
communities and societies and compare notes. If you know
Mm-hmm.
of any animals that fuck for money, or it's got currency, I'm dying to know.
So true.
I love it. I think we'll see you next time, guys. This one's totally wrapped up.
Bye, guys.